Welcome to our brain boosting powers. No, that's not what we call it, but
It was close.
but but when it came out, it just came out like that. So brain power breakthroughs there.
There you
It's
go.
like a tongue twister if you don't think
Hmm.
about it. So welcome to the call today. And I am excited for today's call. I want to just let you know this is kind of a follow-up from our previous episode. So we asked a question in our previous episode about Gen Z and face-to-face communication, those skills. Jon had a great question around that. So, Jon, I just thought I would invite Ethan here.
Hmm.
He is living at our house right now. Him and his wife are newlyweds and needed a place to stay for a bit.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So he's here, and I said, wait, we just had this cool podcast, and would you come be a guest? So,
Very good. Glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
So, and just to clarify, what age group are you in, Ethan?
So I'm 24.
You're
So
24. Okay.
yeah.
All right. So you're smack dab in the middle of all this.
Mhm.
All right. Cool. Well, here's kind of what, and you want me to just re-ask the question then and
sure. Yeah.
go from there? All right. Here's kind of what we were looking at. I think it was the day before yesterday when I first started thinking about this question, Ethan. Um, you know, and so I wrote it out like this: Generation Z graduated into a pandemic. In other words, you were in lockdown, you weren't able to go anywhere, do anything, you were stuck in your house, like that was a place you really wanted to be, locked up. But, but, so, but anyway, because of that, um, after your graduation, your generation didn't start careers, your working careers in person. Okay. Now, to kind of help people understand what I mean by that, when I graduated, um, I went straight from school to a workplace and started training in person at the workplace. Learned the technical aspects of the job, the doing aspects of the job, as well as the being aspects of the job. In other words, how to do the job and how to be the person that could do the job the best way. Okay. So that's kind of prefacing where this goes. So you guys didn't start your careers in person. So the older business society, if you want to call it that, looks at it as though you guys never got the opportunity to learn executive functioning skills, critical thinking skills, mindfulness, being present, all that kind of thing, all those kind of things that help aid in communication skills, face-to-face communication skills, one-on-one. I think the one of the things I shared on the call the other day was with Loriann was, your generation, first off, you learned fast because you learned online, and everything online is fast. I didn't learn online. I learned slow. What took me weeks, months, years to learn took you guys days, just because of where and how you had to learn it. But in referencing that, I said something about, this was your communication device. And so, if I'm on the phone with Loriann and she says something that upsets me, click. Oh, sorry. Call must have dropped. I don't have to deal with her now. Where if we're at the workplace around the water cooler and we're talking and she says something that I disagree with or that upsets me, I'm face to face with her. I got to deal with this now. I can't just do click. Oh, I mean, I could just turn around and walk away. That would, first off, it wouldn't be very nice. Secondly, it would make her feel really bad about it. But so that's the difference between the two. You guys have easy access to, easy access off. So knowing that with these in-person skills, these communication skills, the question is, do you still feel like those skills are needed? And considering that those skills are learned on a slow, over time, face-to-face basis, is that still part of a culture you want to work with? Or do you just want to say, let them do what they're going to do? I'm going to go back to my learning, how I learn best, and I'll deal with it the best way I can. And we'll just go from there. Even though we all know this is not the best way to learn face-to-face communication skills. This is the short version of it. But how to really relate to somebody, how to use critical thinking, how to use effective listening. We talked about that. Those skills are things that take time to learn and take a lot of this to learn. In your generation, do you still feel like that's part of a culture that you want to work with? Or do you want to go back to your other culture of everything's fast paced, do it online, and we'll figure the rest out later?
So, so for me, so my job, I'm a loan officer. I do mortgages, and it's really funny because you do have those people that are like, oh, like in 10 years, like we won't need you, like technology will do the loan for us, like we'll be fine. But the big thing is like, no, like that personal contact, in industries like this are so important for the process to work, and to go smoothly, because technology, like it has its perks, for sure, but there's definitely a lot of, downfalls with that, and so I definitely agree that like having that in-person communication is so key and so important, and it's something that I have to use every single day. I'm either going to open houses and building those in-person connections with realtors, and when I do that, a lot of the realtors are like, oh, like you're coming to me, like this is really rare to see people in your industry doing this nowadays, but it really hits them because they're like, oh, this person is taking time out of their day to come meet me in person. It's something that even when the lenders I work with, he talks about how it's something that is so important, going and meeting your client in person and understanding not only their needs for their mortgages, but as well, having that in-person connection, understanding who they are and, what they're all about. And so I think, it's definitely really important to have that in-person connection, even in today's society with technology.
Was that hard for you to do when you first started, or is it something that you've like grown up with that, like, because you've had a cell phone for probably your whole life almost.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
So was that hard to do the in-person?
I would definitely say yes. Just because it was something that was like so new to me. I was like, I don't know how to sell myself when I go to these open houses. And I like walked in
Mm-hmm.
and like there's actually another loan officer that I actually knew there. And I was like, hey, I'm just trying to drop by, and it definitely was like, like scary at first, but I was like, like I gotta keep on doing this. And over time, it kind of just became something that I didn't become afraid of, and I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
a thing that I do now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. So realizing communication skills was much more important than originally thought.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you feel you've come along with that?
Um, I feel like I've come along with it really well. And I feel like so like another thing too is like I I'm kind of old school too when it comes to cold calling and doing like trying to do 100
Mm.
calls a week. And like
Mm-hmm.
it's nerve-wracking every time, but like I feel like definitely the more I do it, I'm like
Yeah.
this is hard, but at the same time it's like I guess the nice thing too is it's like, okay, like I'm cold calling these people, and like if they don't reciprocate what I want as well, like that's okay. There's lots of other
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. So it just motivates me more and more to find those people that want to work
Yeah.
with me through the cold calls and through the open houses and those type of things.
That's actually a fantastic way of looking at it. Realizing, because I would tell you, coming from a business background of, you know, excuse me, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
Um, Coming from a business background of, I've trained sales staffs, I've trained management, I've trained all kinds of stuff. Realizing cold calling as a learning tool, most everybody I've worked with ran as fast as they could the other direction when you said, we're going to do some cold call role playing today. Yeah, they're gone.
You're gone.
They're out of here, And I'll be one of the first ones to admit I did it too in my early days too. I had to grow into realizing how important that was, and how important it was for them to see me as the person, as the individual, as uh the one that had the knowledge to help them realize what they were looking for. So yeah, that's an interesting way. I'm so happy that you said that you used that as a learning tool to get past the process of that, gosh, that dadgum communication stuff. You
Mhm.
know, that's cool. That's
Mhm.
very cool. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
So what have you found that has helped you be successful?
With cold calling or
Yeah,
just
and with being able to go in person, I mean,
Mhm.
just to get the courage. Okay, so the reason I
Mm-hmm.
want to ask this is because there was a young man that came to my door yesterday, and he brought his dad with him. And it was so difficult for him to ask me if he could wash my solar panels. But that's what he wants to do right now as a business, 20 years old. He's young and he just is, wants to do something to get a job to work. And
Mm-hmm.
so his dad came with him, and I could see, I'd try and talk to him, but he'd duck his head and he'd kind of take a couple steps back. And then he'd look at his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad's just got this big grin on his face, got his hands in his pocket. And he's just like, he's such an ambitious kid. And the dad was good because he kept like really encouraging his son to speak.
Mhm.
And I let him talk. I wanted to I just thought it took some guts for this kid to come to my door, ring my doorbell, and then try and have a conversation with me. And he wanted to do it for free because I just said, he didn't say that to begin with. And I said, oh, I just got my solar panels put on my house, so I don't know if they need to be cleaned. Well, it just rained and everybody's is dirty. And so I was like, okay. And then he said, I really want to do it for free and take pictures of me doing it so that I can advertise for what I'm doing if you'll let me do that for you for
Mhm.
free. And so I thought, what a great thing. But
Yeah.
I'm sure it took that kid so much courage. So that's why I'm asking the question. I want to know, like, what courage, like, what did you do to get through that, and who encouraged you?
So I guess kind of starting out, because I'm kind of the one in the office that is the only one that really likes to do cold calls. But with kind of the community that I'm in, there's a lot of like help with regards to, cold calling and those type of things. And so I kind of started out, with, hey, like use this script. And for me, like, I feel like it comes back to like who you are. Like you have to be yourself. And
Mhm.
I was like, I just feel like I'm, pushing this script on these realtors and it's not me. So, I went back to the drawing board and I was like, I'm just going to keep it simple and just ask them a question. Some people, some realtors find it silly and hang up and it's like, okay, next,
Mhm.
and I just simply ask, hey, like, what are you seeing, in the market currently, trend wise as a realtor? Because I'm trying to educate myself a little bit more as a loan officer so that I'm
Mhm.
able to help my clients out more. And it
Wow.
sparks, a conversation. And the ones that are interested, have some really good input, and then it leads to, eventually meeting with them in
Mhm.
person or just having a Zoom call, just depending on where they're located. But I just, I think it just comes back to keeping it simple, and as well, who are
Mhm.
you? What can you I guess provide to the table when you're, having those in-person calls? How do you interact? Like, add a little flair. If you want to be funny. And so that's kind of my approach to kind of, opening up as I'm going to open houses and doing these cold calls.
That's an excellent approach. I will tell you the one thing I learned in my business world is the more times I asked questions, the better responses and the more business I got than the times when I just sat down and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to play out. It's going to be this simple, but we got to take this step, this step, this step, this step, and this step.
Mhm.
If I played it out like that, where I was telling them how it was all going to lay, even though everything I was telling them may have been perfectly in sync with the progression of the process. It was when I asked questions that, first off, the feedback gave me more information.
Yeah.
And then asking questions created a dialogue. Creating a dialogue created communication skills. Creating communication skills created business.
Mhm.
So I love what you're doing. That's so cool. And like I said, not being afraid to cold call, that just floors me, but I love it.
Yeah.
I
It's
know. I'm
so
like,
cool.
I want to applaud that.
I no kidding.
I've
No
done cold
kidding.
calling before. It is
Yeah.
hard. It is
Oh.
hard. It's hard to get the rejection,
Mhm.
but when you
Yeah.
said that you take that as, okay, next, And, and some people
Yeah.
might find it silly, but you have to know who you are
Mhm.
inside and what your goal is and what's driving you.
Mhm.
That's the only way you can keep picking up that phone
Yep.
is you know what the end
Yeah.
result is that you want.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Excellent work.
Well, Ethan, how can we support you in your business? What would be the best way that we could support you in your business?
That's a good question.
Like, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah. Honestly, the best way to get a hold of me is just like through email. I'm, always
Mhm.
emailing, or as well just through text message. You can either call me or text me. But calling, I always pick up my phone too. That's the thing in the business, always make sure.
Mhm.
See, and that's surprising too, because a lot of people don't answer their phones.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially your generation.
Yes.
It's
Mhm.
all just, texting. So
Yeah.
that,
So,
we'll make sure to add your information
Okay.
in.
yeah, would you be willing to put your information in the chat?
Yeah.
That way we can pull it from the chat and drop it in the show comment notes
Yeah.
and see if we can't get people headed your direction.
Yes. Yep.
And
So-
where are you a loan officer? Where are you located?
Yeah, where are you located at, Ethan?
So I'm with Infinity Mortgage, and our main office is in like Draper, Utah. But so
Mhm.
my dad's the owner of the company, and then I wanted to kind of expand our business, so now I'm down south, in St. George, and so
Mhm.
down here, and just trying to expand our business all over Utah.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, yeah, by all means, put your information in the chat so we can capture that and put it out in our show notes. What else you got, Loriann?
That was just the main thing. What would you do? So we'll let Ethan end by just telling us, what would you do to encourage kids your age or even younger, like in being able to develop their working skills? I know that you are extra like motivated. I would say you are, because I bet you got 10 kids and none of them would want a cold call. So, but what advice would you give to them in helping with their communication skills if they wanted to do that?
I would say just like even like simply just like asking your friends, or just like asking your, everybody that you're around, saying, hey, like, I would like to practice, maybe, let's say, meeting with people in person. Do you think like I could come in with a presentation and just like share that with you? Just those simple, practices, those things, and doing those over and over, I feel like is really helpful to learn those communication skills with the people that you're most comfortable with. And they're also, the people that will give you the best insights on what you can work on and improve on, so that when
Yeah.
you go and meet people in person, or calling them, or whatever kind of skills that you want to work on, will really help you when you do like want to go out and do that.
I love that you said that. That's how I started my business. I went to one of my friends that was a friend of my mom, and I gave her my 45-minute presentation. I said, I don't want you to buy anything, but I need to know if this presentation works and if it is powerful, and if, there's things I could work on with it.
Mhm.
And I also knew that she loved me enough that she would tell me if I was being salesy or
Right.
pushy, or if she was uncomfortable at all, or, and she signed up in my business, and she has been my faithful for 13 years, has been in my business.
That's great.
Faithful.
That's great.
But she did help me. She just said, I think you could do this and you need to do that. And where do I sign? That's what she said.
That's cool.
And I knew that she would be hard on me too, because that's just the way she is. So that is great advice.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It is.
And
Perfect.
I guess one more thing I wanted to add as well, just depending on, what you're wanting to work on, and, maybe what industry that you're in. One of the things that like my industry has, is a lot of like groups that come together, a lot of people that just focus on, cold calling or, those type of things. And so if you can as well find a group, look up on Google, or just, maybe talk to your boss or, whoever, and try to, find a group that you can get involved with that, has that same mindset that you're wanting to work on.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Great idea.
Excellent idea. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, what a great show today. What do you have any comments, Jon?
To end, I would say this. I love the approach that you're using, Ethan. You're staying open. All right. And one of the things you just said was take small, consistent steps. And that's something we've talked about since early on in our podcast, Loriann.
Right.
Don't try and jump over that puddle that's 8 foot long. Take a 1.5 step at a time, but stay consistent with it. And it goes back to what we talked about. Small, consistent, positive steps will lead you to wherever you want to go. I promise you. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. Small, consistent, positive steps. And that sounds exactly like what you're doing, Ethan, and I commend you for it, my friend. Very, very good. And yeah, I'll be excited to see how you build out there in Utah. That's I'm excited for you, and I see really good things for you, because I think you've got, number one, you've got the right mindset.
Right.
And then number two, you've got the right desire. I mean, you can know everything you need to know, but early on I said something about knowing what to do and doing it are two different things. There's a lot of people out there that know what to do, but they're not doing it. There's some people out there that know what to do and are taking the steps to make it happen. And kudos to you, my friend, for being one of those. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody. See you next time.
Yeah.
Don't forget, hit that little subscribe button down there and the bell.
Yes.
Tap on that bell so you'll be notified when we get a new show out there for you guys.
I love that Jon remembers that every time. Thanks, Jon.
You're more than welcome. Thank you all. Have a wonderful, absolutely wonderful rest of your week. And we look forward to another session with you.
Bye. Thanks, Ethan.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.